Good afternoon, Black and Married with Kids. I am so excited to be with you guys on an amazing Monday. It has been a while since I came on Black and Married with Kids and had my Takeover Monday with you guys. So I want you all to come on in, join me if this is your first time with me on Takeover Monday. It's been about 2 weeks, but I've missed you guys and I'm so excited to be back here on Black and Married with Kids. And thank you, Lamar and Ronnie, for having me on here to share some insight with you guys. So come on in, comment your city and state, tell me where you're from. I want to make sure that your comments are good as I tell you a little bit about myself as you guys are getting acclimated, because today we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can break the cycle of regrets, because oftentimes we continue to replay regrets over and over and over again. But today I'm going to tell you 3 ways that you can break the cycle of regrets in your life. If you continue to keep replaying these regrets over and over again, if you keep living a life of regrets, if you keep wondering, why am I doing this? I want you to learn how to break the cycle. Hi, Kiwana, how are you? I'm so glad that you're here to join me. As you guys are coming in, comment below your city and state, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ariel Fuller. I am the co-owner of Dunamis Women Enterprise, where we guide women of faith on how to heal within their soul, ignite their power through prayer, and transform their life and relationships through the power of God. And so my mom and I are so fortunate to, have this company together where we guide women of faith and men as well as our real awesome men through our organization, through our company for women. And so normally I come over here and I do a takeover Monday, but I have not been here for a while. Hi, Shelly from Dallas, Texas. How are you? For 2 weeks, so I'm glad to be back, and you guys will see my mom tomorrow on her Takeover Tuesday. But I want to get into the nitty-gritty tonight. Hi, Shawana from Salem, North Carolina. So glad that you guys are able to be with me. I want you all to stay also on this live to the end. I know there's some other things that you guys have been doing. I know this just kind of popped up on your timeline, but I have a gift for you guys, so please feel free to stay with me on the end as well, because I'm going to share that special gift with you guys for watching. But I want to get into this, right? 3 ways that you can break the cycle of regrets, because so many people live a life of regret. They often wonder, man, what could I have done differently? Why did I make that decision? If you have hurt somebody, maybe you are living some level of regret and feeling like you could have did something different for your life. And we oftentimes replay these regrets in our head over and over and over again. And so today I'm going to give you a couple things about my life, but some strategies that you can do on how to stop replaying this cycle of regrets that go on in your head. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, what I want you to do right now is I want you to share this on your timeline, because this is open for anybody to be able to watch, and you never know who may need to hear this message today about replaying regrets. So before I give you these 3 ways, comment below if you have replayed regrets in your head over and over again. All right, if you have, comment below yes, I have. If you have not, comment below no, I have not. I want to know who I'm talking to. If you have always wondered about regrets and replayed regrets in your head over and over again, comment below yes, I have. If you have not, comment below no, I have not. All right, because I want to know, am I talking to the right crowd? All right, because there's some people who they don't regret nothing. They just live life freely and they be like, look, I ain't got no apologies. But then there's some times where people do wonder, you know what, man, I could have did that differently, right? I could have did that. Did I really need to get into the situation? Yes, Erica. Okay, you said yes, I have. Kiwana, you said yes. Shelly, you said yes. Meet the Browns, you said yes. Wendy, you said, oh, you're from Park Forest, Illinois. I'm from Chicago, Wendy. From the south suburbs as well, Homewood. So you're near my neighborhood. So yes, I see some yeses, all right? So here's the thing. I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can stop redoing this, because I'm 29 years old. You guys know a little bit about me. And I've made some decisions in life that I have had regrets. But not only have I made decisions where I have regret certain things that I have made, I have also, when it comes to relationships, have had men, friendships, right, tell me about their regrets when it comes to myself. And I often wonder, man, why do I always seem like people regret their decisions when it comes to me from a relationship standpoint? And then I often regret my decisions when it comes to relationships and things that I make. And I used to always replay some of these decisions over and over again in these circumstances in my life. And I was like, you know what, Ariel, you can't continue to keep living in these regrets of what if, shoulda, coulda, woulda, what could have happened. So there's something I need you to do differently, because you're always going through these things. All right, so when do you work in Homewood? So these are some things I'm going to give you. So the first thing is, When I used to replay these regrets over and over again in my head, the first thing that I had to learn to do was I had to learn how to rest in my decision. Even if I did not have all the knowledge to make the choice that I made, I had to rest in it. I had to own the fact that I did it. No matter what my thinking was, no matter what my emotions were at that time, no matter the circumstances, I made the choice, and I have to rest in that, and I have to find peace in it. And so the first thing I had to do was I had to rest and realize that I only know what I know. I was only capable of doing what I was capable of doing at that moment in time. I did not have the ability to do anything differently, because if I did, I would have. So I had to take a step back and rest in the fact and own the fact that that was a choice that I chose to make. And that's where I was at that season of my life. And no matter how long people or how much people try to hold me hostage for the choice that I made, or I try to hold myself hostage, I had to learn how to rest in the season that I was in at that moment in time. Hi, Daphne, how are you? Because we are constantly evolving and constantly growing. And I had to realize that's where I was. Whoever taught me something different, whoever gave me a roadmap or a book about life and how to make these choices. So when I learned how to rest in my decisions and rest in what I did at that moment, I had to own it. And can't nobody take that away from me. Because oftentimes when you make decisions that you regret, you like to sometimes see other people's life and their behavior, and so that makes you feel bad about the choices that you made. But I had to rest in the fact that that's what I knew. I didn't know anything differently, right? And this is so important because oftentimes we replay regrets because we want to do something different. And there was nothing different that needed to be done. You did what was needed, and you need to rest in that. Because when you go, I don't want to go to my second point, but what I want you to do is I want you to calm it down, rest in it. Because whatever choice that you have made, whatever choice that someone else has made, that they regret, they have to rest in the fact that they made it at that season, right? And I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to peacefully play or peacefully have rest, because when you play regrets over and over and over again, it takes away your peace. It takes away your rest. It takes away your peace of mind, where you can actually sit down and focus. And so when you learn how to rest in it, when you learn how to own it, then you allow yourself to get to another place of peace. And you don't want anyone or yourself taking away your peace of mind. And when you replay this over and over again, you take away your peace of mind. You take away your level of growth in what it necessarily needs to be done, all right? So you got to learn to rest in it. Whatever that decision is, rest in it. And I'm going to give you guys an example. And this is just me. I'm only talking about my life, right? I lived a life of abstinence for 6 years. I still live a life of abstinence. But I broke my abstinence journey 5 years after I was abstinent. And I wasn't abstinent to be perfect. I was abstinent to protect my asset, because I started understanding the purpose of sex when it comes to relationships. And I knew that I couldn't give my body to anyone, right? And so when I started encountering certain guys, I chose not to engage in sexual activity with them. But then when I saw that they would choose other individuals, other women, that they would engage in sexual activity, it sometimes, or my early stages, made me have regrets. Like, oh, well, should I have done that with them? Or should I have been more sexual or more sensual? Or should I have been more open? But then I had to learn and to rest in the fact that that was my choice. That was my decision. That was who I was. And if I wasn't accepted, I'm just using this as an example, if I wasn't accepted in that moment and in that season, I can't have regrets about that, because they weren't ready to receive me. If they weren't ready to receive me not sleeping with them, then they weren't ready to receive me in my wholeness and to pursue a relationship with me. They were ready to rush and to go out, to go be with somebody else. But I had to rest and own the fact that that was my choice. That was a life that I made. And I couldn't live a life of regret because I was attracted to them so much. And this is oftentimes why people do this, because a lot of women in my particular situation could have abandoned their standards at that time and ended up engaging in sexual activity, which then they would have added extra regrets, because if that relationship didn't work out, then they would have felt bad about the choices that they necessarily made. So either way, regrets are going to necessarily come, but you got to rest in the decisions that you made. Now, when I broke my abstinence journey at that 5-year mark, I made that decision intentionally because of something that I necessarily want to do. And so because I rested in the fact that I made that choice, regrets couldn't come in my way. So when that relationship or when that situation did not work out, I owned it. I rested in it. I respected the choice that I necessarily made. I didn't have any regrets about the decision. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, comment below. It makes sense. But I don't know what your situation is, but what I know that you have to do is in that season, in this moment of your life right now, wherever you were back then, rest in the fact that that's where you were. And that was a conscious decision that you necessarily made, whether it was good or whether it was bad. Actually rest in the fact that that is where you were, all right? So that's the first thing. You got to rest in it. Second thing is, you have to take the time to now reflect. When that regret continues to keep coming in your head, I want you to actually sit down and look at the situation and reflect on it. Don't replay it. Don't get emotional about it. Reflect on it. Allow your situation to be an example for you to analyze and to really look at the reality of certain situations. So reflecting means let's be honest with myself, all right? So when you take that situation and you sit down and you reflect on it, you're saying, you know what? I made this choice. I chose not to do this. Whatever the situation is, what could I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Was that person truly at the capacity? I'm using my example. If I would have slept with that person, was that person truly at the capacity of their life to fully receive me as the woman that I was? There's no need for me to have regrets because when I sit down and I reflect, that person really wasn't for me at the end of the day. When I reflect, I look at what lessons could I have learned, and I sit down and I be real with myself. See, oftentimes we want to replay things because we're not real with ourselves. We're not real with the fact of where we really need to be. No one is meant for you, and it takes time to build understanding. Sex is not so much an issue as to the lack of understanding. Absolutely. And when you reflect, you get an understanding of your situation, of that circumstance that you were necessarily in. And so I really had to learn how to sit down and stop replaying these regrets, stop wishing what if, what could have happened, all those different things. And I had to reflect and get an understanding of what it is in this situation, where was I, and how can I accept and not own this? Where was your spouse if they made decisions that they necessarily regret? What was the state of you all at that standpoint mentally and emotionally? And really look at the situation for what it really is. See, we often go into regrets because we live in a fantasy world. We like to replay what could have happened instead of looking at the reality. And the reality is that situations have came into your life to grow you and to develop you and to challenge you and to give you a level of understanding. And the more that you live in fantasy land, the more you're negating the lesson that you can actually learn from your reality. And here's the kicker. You guys know I'm a believer because we have a faith-based company. I realized and rest in the fact that God knew that I was going to make these choices before I even made them. Because he gives us ultimatums. And when I know that these choices could have been made, I could have went left or I could have went right. But you know what, God? I didn't go left, I went right. So now let me sit down and reflect, what was the situation of why I went right? Because you knew that I was going to make this decision before I even knew. So it's up to me to sit down and reflect and to learn from it and to get an understanding of where I was and where everybody else was in this standpoint of my life. And when you reflect and look at the reality, oftentimes, some of you all may have the opportunity, and this doesn't happen all the time, but some of you all may have the opportunity to go back to that person and actually get, like someone said on here, a further understanding. Because you have become mature enough to sit down and reflect. So now you can go back and say, you know what? This is where I was at this season of my life. This is the choices that I made. And now I need a little bit more understanding. And if that person is mature enough, then you can get some closure. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it can happen when you take the time to truly reflect. And if that person or whoever it is, if your regret has to do with someone else, you need an understanding. When you sit down and reflect, sometimes you get the revelation and the understanding on your own without actually having that conversation with the other person. Okay? And so you have to learn how to reflect. So comment below if you're still with me, say reflect. I need to sit down, I need to look at my decision, and I need to reflect on where I was, where that person was, what could I learn from the situation, and why did this situation come into my life? I need to get an understanding, okay? So comment below, reflect. If you guys got that, reflect. I hope this is not too much, but when you learn how to stop breaking the cycle of regrets, it's going to cause you to critically think sometimes. It's going to cause you to sit down and be with yourself. Because what you're doing when you replay regrets, you're becoming somebody else. Someone else that you weren't at that time. Someone else that you wish that you were, instead of owning who you actually are and the choices that you made, all right? So number 3, after you have learned how to rest in it and then you reflect it, the third thing you need to do to break the cycle is you need to release it. You need to release it and the fact that it is already done. And releasing it does not mean that you're saying, you know what, forget it, I just own my life, this is what it is, and all this different stuff. No, you release it in peace. You release it in healing. You release it in getting an understanding. You release it in going into the next chapter of your life and learning from it. Releasing it is saying it is what it was, I can't do anything about it, and now I'm going to release it and get an understanding or a healing from it and take whatever that situation is and use it for my purpose. Because yes, like you said, all life is learning. And so when you release it, you get a certain level of healing about that situation and you get a better understanding. And guess what? You cannot release it by yourself. You release it by communicating and talking to someone else who can help you wrap your mind around it. Oftentimes we like to think that when we release regrets, that is something we make up in our own mind and we keep moving on through life. Sometimes you do got to talk these things out, you all. Sometimes you do have to be able to discuss these things with other people, the right people, not just anybody, but the right people, so that you can release it freely. And this is why it's so important for, as women, if you guys are watching this, and as men, for us to get healing, because healing is a key ingredient to breaking the cycles of regrets over your life. When you get healing, you get understanding. When you get healing, you learn how to forgive yourself and not hold yourself hostage. When you get healing, you realize that you were in the situation that you were at that moment, but you know that you're going to another chapter of your life. Healing helps you grow. Healing catapults you to the next level of your life. Staying broken doesn't. And this is why we have to necessarily break the cycle of these replays of the regrets that happen over and over again. So I want you to comment below, release it. Because oftentimes you need to release it out into the earth and let it be. Let it be what it was. And a lot of you all on here have probably already know that you are called to impact other people, that you're called to inspire other people, that you're called to someone else, that you want to use your life for other people so that they don't have to go through the same thing that you went through. But you can't do that holding on to regrets. You got to go through these cycles, because if you know that you want to use your life as an impact to inspire other people, then guess what? You got to learn how to work through these regrets, because other people don't want to hear about your regrets. They want to hear how you learned and how you released and how you grown and how you healed and how you can continue to keep going throughout life and not saying shoulda, coulda, woulda, but you know what? I'm owning everything that has happened in my life. And this is why it's so important to necessarily do so, all right? And so if you guys are with me, all right, I said I had a free gift for you guys staying to the end, but you guys have known, me coming on in here, that me and my mom, I have been going on the Healing for My Soul tour. And we have went to all of our cities. We just left Houston, Texas last weekend. And our last city is on Atlanta, Georgia on March 30th. So if you live in Atlanta or you know someone that lives in Atlanta, I want you to be able to come out to the tour. And I want you to unleash and I want you to release some of the things that you have been dealing with, that you have had regrets, and that you need to learn how to process and go through these things. So if you live in Atlanta, if you don't, I still have something for you. I want you to go and I want you to register for the tour, all right? You can go to BIT. Can someone comment this down below for me? bit.ly/Healing Tour 2019. That's BIT, B as in boy, IT.ly/Healing Tour 2019. If you live in Atlanta, Georgia, I want you to get registered to go to the tour this weekend coming up on Saturday. If you do not, and you know that you want to start this process of learning how to release regrets, while we're on tour, this is the last week that we have our Healing for My Soul online courses on sale for $10. Yes, $10. And these videos are going to take you through a process of learning how to heal and release some of the things that you have been holding hostage or that you have been feeling a sense of regret. And so if you want access to these courses, because it's the last week they're on sale, I want you to go to bit.ly/myhealingcourse. Go there and you can choose from any of the 3 courses that you want that are going to guide you and get a better understanding on how to stop living a life of regrets and understand that you have a life full of rewards. And as you let go of your regrets, you can receive the reward that God necessarily has for you and that you have for your life, and that's for your relationships. So I want you to go to that link, bit.ly/myhealingcourse, and get access to those online courses so that you can be able to learn how to process life and that's going on and release some of these things, you all, because we can't hold on to this stuff. At some point, we got to stop replaying the regrets, and we have to learn how to reflect. We got to learn how to release, and we got to learn how to rest in our life, in the life that was given to us, because we did not ask for it. We did not expect it to be here, but we can conquer it, all right? And so releasing it is the best thing that you necessarily could do. So if you live in Atlanta, I want to see you at that tour. Go to bit.ly/Healing Tour 2019. If you don't live in any of those states, I want you to go get access to that Healing for My Soul online course at bit.ly/myhealingcourse. Once again, I want to thank Lamar and Ronnie for having me on here. You guys will see me next Monday for another Takeover Monday. I promise I won't give you guys another break. But I'm so glad that you guys are here with me. Please share this on your page so that another friend can be able to see this message if this blessed you and if this helped you tonight. And I cannot wait to be with you guys next week, and you guys will see my mom tomorrow. All right, so have a good night. Thank you, Darnell, for chiming in. Thank you, Daphne. Thank you, everyone else, for your comments. I appreciate you guys being here with me, and I love you guys so very much. And please, please, please make sure you get your hands on that course, because the sale will end on this weekend. And if you live in Atlanta, come out to the tour, all right? And I can't wait to meet you guys in person. See you all later, and have a good rest of your night.